Hello, guys. It's Chris here, otherwise known as UtdActive on Twitter. And today, this is a little bit of a stopgap podcast in terms of some of the updates I've got early this week and what is going on with Manchester United's transfer situation now. Ten Hag is working with Manchester United and is obviously the manager for the next season. So let's just talk about that. And we're going to talk about why it's so quiet in terms of the usual rumours that we get this time of year and why it's been quiet at the moment. Why are Ajax players being linked so much by, in the papers? So it's quite obvious, but we're going to talk about it, and why some Bundesliga players have obviously been linked to Manchester United. So we're going to talk a little bit about transfer rumours. So first and foremost is over the past few seasons, Manchester United have had what we would call a lot of briefs or a lot of messages gone out from the club, including the rogue journalists that talk about Manchester United because it's for engagement purposes and those sort of things. So it helps them. And obviously they've got links from Manchester United and they've got stories and they release it out. Now at the moment it's quite quiet. There are some rumours around it, which is standard because, a journalist is going to want to link a certain player with Ten Hag or Manchester United because it's obvious to do that. And why is it so quiet? So Manchester United are going through a massive structure change. They haven't finished, by the way. There's a lot more to go on with that, although we've seen Matt Judge and we've seen some scouting go along, and we could see a potential head of recruitment role come in and those sort of things. But those are things that in the future. Manchester United at the moment are sorting out Ten Hag's staff, which is pretty much confirmed all the details. There are a few other things that are going to happen. But why is it so quiet? So in the past, Manchester United have done this, and it's kind of gave them a disadvantage of how they handle transfer negotiations. Obviously, the club weren't happy with how the negotiations have been done over the last few seasons. And John obviously is going to be leading on the negotiations with someone else coming in to help. And he's a little bit stronger. Last summer, we saw it a little bit more. They sort of closed negotiations quicker, although United's communications are always 6 weeks behind, 4 to 6 weeks behind before even after they've closed the deal. So that tends to happen with Manchester United. They've removed the communications director. There are a lot of people saying they've stepped down, they got fired. End of. Loads of staff have been fired, but because of the longevity of the service of the company, it looks like they've stepped down. But what they're doing in the actual club at the moment is doing a lot of restructure and realigning responsibilities. And when you're doing a restructure and you're consulting with the people that are at risk, you could say, actually, well, you could either step down or you could end up with, removing you and going through those sort of process procedures, of course. But there is obviously a legal way of doing it. So those staff have gone and will be going at the end of the season. And then responsibilities will be realigned. And once they've done all of that, then they look at the particular roles or particular vacancies that have strength, like the head of recruitment or the deputy director of football, which we're expecting to be announced, in the next few weeks. Then you start to see where people start to fit in. But at the moment, they're going through that particular process, even down to the medical department, the food department. There's lots of swift changes happening in Manchester United. It's not just 3 people. There's a lot of people at risk. Manchester United are doing an assessment. They've already got an audit guy coming in to look at the first team squad, also the staff, and to understand where Manchester United could be a little bit leaner and more effective within a club to be a football club, not a business that hasn't actually been that effective. And the Glazers were a little bit blind in the sense of Ed Woodward used to tell them things and, he used to get away with a lot and used to protect a lot of the staff. But Manchester United come to the realization that if they actually do it proper as a football club, they can actually make more money, which is nonsense, you'd think, which is crazy, the fact that the owners didn't know that, but they were so disconnected from the club. So a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at Manchester United, as you can know. And what that impacts with transfers is at the moment, Manchester United want to negotiate quietly with some targets. They're not releasing too many details. We've seen some stuff around Darwin, Nunez, Calvin Phillips, some of the Ajax players. But we have, and obviously Frenkie de Jong. But Frenkie de Jong there's been some talks for the last few weeks at least, and we're only getting to know it now. In the past, Manchester United would have done that in the first 2 weeks to say they're interested because they're attempting to bring fans onto their side But they're not doing that anymore. They just want to silently negotiate. And when the deal is close, they will kind of start to announce these things and we'll get those briefs. But at the moment, Manchester United are looking through all the list with Ten Hag. That's happening this week. Manchester United will be able to start negotiating with players from next week onwards after the football games, after the Premier League is finished. And obviously the transfer window is soon to be open. So that's what's kind of happening at the moment. In terms of transfer targets, now Darwin Nunez apparently is under 60 million euros. David Ornstein has said that. He's probably the best journalist in terms of football because he gets a lot of exclusives all the time, and he's very good at what he does. And credit to him on that. Now, Darwin Nunez is under 60 million euros. Now, Manchester United have got a decision to make for Darwin Nunez. Do they go for him? Is he the right style for Ten Hag? And these are the discussions they're having this week. So we'll see if Manchester United go for him or not. If Ten Hag says yes, they could do that deal pretty quickly. But we'll have to see what happens with that one, because a lot of people are saying that he's not the type of style that Manchester United should go for. But Ten Hag has improved players. If you look at Tadic and Haller, when they went to him, Haller's a target man, similar to what Nunez is. He's developed him massively, and his goal ratio went up. Now, I know it's the Dutch league, but again, that type of stuff is why he was the favourite to get the job anyway, because he can develop players that are underperforming, and there's some players at Manchester United that he can do that with. And some people that you might not like that could have a good season next season. And that's just the way it is. You've got to trust what he wants to implement. So Darwin Nunez is internally discussed. At 60 million euros, though, that is a major discussion. You're not going to get a top striker, any of that. If you look at, I don't like to compare, but if you look at Lukaku, like £100 million hasn't done it. Darwin Nunez is 60 million euros. Now, a lot of there's comparisons between him and Lukaku. I don't see it, to be honest. I've watched Darwin Nunez over the last few weeks. I think there's a talented player there that Ten Hag could but make him even better. So we'll have to see what happens with that one, and that is down to Ten Hag. Now, with Ajax players, that's normal. So Ten Hag has been the Ajax manager, since 2017. So he's going to look at players that actually might suit his system that he's used to make. So it's kind of obvious that the journalists would link players to Ten Hag from Ajax. That happens wherever you go, So look at the Legwe's come back and Pogba's potentially going to Juventus. There's a lot of stuff that happens around like these sort of things. Now, when it comes to Ajax players, I do think that one Ajax player would go to Manchester United this summer, and it's probably likely to be either Anthony or Timber. It's just Manchester United need to negotiate a fee. They've got a great relationship with Ajax. Now, there is no verbal agreements or any particular agreements at the moment. I know there's been some news around it, but Manchester United have such a good relationship with Ajax, they would let them know first, and apparently that hasn't happened. So there's a little bit of nonsense reporting going on. But at the moment, there is massive interest in Timber around, not just from Manchester United, from other clubs, because of the way he's versatile. He can play right back, centre back, and even a little bit more forward, we've seen. So that's the kind of sort of player you're looking for. Now, people are saying his height's a little bit smaller. Well, okay, you can go to the right back, and they're still looking for two defenders anyway. So there's this potential for Manchester United that they can go and do a deal. Now, I think it's around 45 million euros, 40 million euros. Could be structured because Ajax won't necessarily need the money too much, and obviously they will reinvest in the summer. So Manchester United could do a good potential deal with him, and he looks more likely to happen. And obviously Ten Hag has already asked for that particular transfer, and that's already been reported anyway. That's not my news; it's out there, so that's credible. So that is kind of where that is with Timber. Now with Anthony, I think that'd be a little bit more difficult because Manchester United have got to sell some players up front. If you're looking at if you're looking at Anthony Martial, there's some other players that potentially could be sold up front. Anthony Martial seems to be the player that they could potentially get money from. I would say they'd probably end up with around £30 million. I don't think you're going to get more than that. He's not had a great season at Sevilla. He's not had the last season wasn't great for Manchester United. He's got a lot of talent. We know that. Everyone knows that. But Manchester United probably going to have to sell him at this point. If they sell Martial, then there's an opportunity for Anthony to come in, or someone up someone from that attacking threat. It doesn't have to be Anthony. But at the moment, there's nothing with it, negotiations. But I reckon around 50 million euros could probably tempt Ajax and sell him. Now, Ajax are not going to demand too much. They're not that type of club. And obviously, they're not in the similar sort of competitiveness as Manchester United. What I mean is that Ajax are a fantastic team. What I mean is that they've obviously got different priorities and those sort of things, right? So that's an opportunity. Martinez, I'm not sure about that. Every single player at the moment from Ajax has been linked to Manchester United. I haven't heard anything concrete. I know something's come out saying he's on the list, but I think Manchester United are going to at least sign one Ajax player this summer. I expect that. If you look at Ten Hag's comments recently saying there's no agreement for me not to sign an Ajax player, he's obviously wanting an Ajax player, and he's already endorsed the move for Timber. So there is stuff going on with Ajax for sure. Okay. Now, when it comes to Frenkie de Jong, at the moment, we've got a few. Manchester United are not waiting for Frenkie de Jong. People are saying, "Oh, but they're going to wait and they're going to get, they're going to fail in the market again." Manchester United are not waiting for Frenkie de Jong. There's a timeline in terms of in terms of Manchester United and Barcelona and what they can do. So Barcelona have got to figure out the situation because they're in financial issues still, and they have been from last year. Laporta's done a good job at Barcelona trimming that down. The fact that he had to let Messi go because he couldn't afford it. He made tough decisions, and you got to respect that. And he's got to do more tough decisions. But if they can get their sponsors in and what they're trying to do, which is they've had some few meetings from what I see, because I follow some of the Barcelona accounts, if they can get the sponsors in and the money, then they won't need to sell people like Frenkie de Jong. But what it is, and a lot of fans are saying, well, Frenkie de Jong wants to stay at Barcelona. Yes, but we've known that from the start. I've said that from the start. He wants to stay at Barcelona. That doesn't mean he's going to not be professional if he ends up at Manchester United and performs. It's not going to be like a Di Maria. He knows Ten Hag and he knows the relationship and he knows that Manchester United could get the best out of him because the manager that is now at Manchester United did. And they have a great relationship. So the deal is still possible there. It's just a 50-50 and it depends on the player and it also depends on if Barcelona need to sell or not. And we will know in the next few days. But we'll know towards the end of the month because the timeline apparently is either the 1st of June or the 30th of June. But I suspect it's probably at the start of the month and they will have to look at doing stuff. Now, if they can't get those sponsors in and you've got to get the sponsors and the financial deals in place in the next 2 weeks, then they might have to sell a big player. And obviously they're looking for other players. They've been linked to 5 to 6 players for signings. Fabrizio sent out loads of messages around them. So you can see that they can't just buy them. So they've obviously got a plan in place. So Frenkie de Jong is definitely available if those situations happen. So man, it's about being patient. Transfer negotiations is not like FIFA, where you just turn on, or Football Manager, where you just turn on the computer and you just bid whatever you want, and then suddenly 10 minutes later you've got the player. That's not how it works in transfer negotiations. There's a lot of variables, as I've just explained, that go on. So you've got to be a bit patient with it. And I know in the past Manchester United have failed you and all this sort of stuff, but you've got to be patient. This is a new structure. This is a new way. And obviously Manchester United are making changes. So you're going to have to get on board with that. But you have to be patient with transfers and not quick. And especially big transfers. Manchester United always go for big transfers or players that they feel, can drastically improve them and have sort of a global brand. There will be some surprise signings coming this summer, as I've said, because Manchester United want to get a few players in different positions. So they have to be effective in their terms of their spending. So there's that going on. Now, with Nkunku, I don't think that's going to happen this year. When I was speaking to some German journalists and DMs that are quite particularly close to the deal and know a lot around Germany football, it looks like he'd probably extend and then leave next season for around 65 to 70 million euros release clause is what they're looking to do. So that could be one for next summer, but Nkunku's one to watch out for. I think he's an absolute brilliant player. He would be my pick ahead of Nunez, to be honest, only because I feel like he would fit more in terms of the attacking sense because he can play in multiple positions. Right? But I don't see that happening this summer. It's gone quiet. I can see him extending the contract apparently it's from 3 million euros per year to 8 million. So that's a massive improvement for him. And that's another season. So, and then he can move on next season. Whether that's Bayern Munich he goes to or he will come to the Premier League, but he would definitely suit the Premier League. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. Now, when it comes to Bundesliga players again, Rangnick has made some suggestions, and he makes some suggestions with Ten Hag when he has his conversations. Probably having those conversations already or next week. Not being confirmed yet. But that is where it is at the moment, because Rangnick is making suggestions. So naturally, the journalists are going to say, well, let's link every Bundesliga player possible, because Rangnick is there and he's making those suggestions. There's the likes of Ndicki, who's under 20 million. He's on the list for sure. Even Pau Torres, obviously not Bundesliga, he's on the list. So there's a lot of stuff going on around it. And after the game against Crystal Palace, we'll understand a little bit more on the targets. And obviously, if Manchester United secure Europa League, is better than the Conference League, and it gives them a little bit more of a pull in the market. But I don't think it will affect too much, because Manchester United are showing to players that they are changing. And obviously, a lot of agents and stuff weren't happy with Manchester United before because of the way they handled their business and those sort of things. But it's changing now. So it's a new sort of leaf for them, and agents and players are looking at Manchester United a little bit different and a little bit more attractive, because it's a football club now, not a business. Obviously, the Glazers will still find a way of making most of the business, but every owner does that. So that's where we are at the moment with all that stuff. So I hope that just gives you clarity. But what I will suggest to you all is you need to be patient. Patient in this market. Manchester United are being quiet. And, don't keep scrolling around Twitter looking for all the latest updates or the ITKs telling you a load of nonsense that these things are happening because they're starving for news. Because a lot of journalists tend to be, when journalists send news out, they will do it on top of it. Because, a journalist they can refer to say, hey, someone else has said this. So there's a lot of news not at the moment, and Manchester United are working effectively, quietly. And for me, that's a lot better because you don't have to filter through the news and fact check everything and liaise with multiple people to find out if this is true or not. I want less of that this summer and just focusing on what the actual club is sending out. So that's good news for myself. And that will be good news for you, because Manchester United are not looking silly in the market. The Sancho saga with all those briefs and messages made them look embarrassing. They don't want to do that anymore, and that's why they're doing loads of internal changes, because they've spotted some issues where that's happened and some leaks and those sort of things. So better for you, although it might be quieter in that sense, but it's better for you. Manchester United will get the targets that they want, and they will sign who they need. So there's a new era. It will be a new revolution. Manchester United will sign who they need to sign. Just be patient. I know a lot of people are asking me for updates constantly. I will either tweet it or quote some journalist, or I will either put it in my Discord just to let you know updates. But if I don't get anything, there's no point asking me because I'm not going to give you a fairy tale or like the ITKs do. I will tell you the honest truth. If nothing's happening, nothing's happening. If something's happening, I will tell you. And those sort of things will come across. So just be mindful to be patient. But as I said, it is on the right track. They're on it. I'm not concerned. You shouldn't be concerned if I'm not concerned. So that's where we are at the moment. And I appreciate you guys today. Quite a short podcast. I hope you have a great weekend. Obviously, we've got more podcasts to come out in the future in terms of the final structure, the final targets for Manchester United, any negotiations going on, the staff, look at each staff profile at Ten Hag. There's a lot of stuff coming on. I appreciate that we've now got 11,000 followers on Twitter. That's fantastic. Keep pushing that. I appreciate all of the followers. You guys are fantastic as a fan base. And make sure you drop into our Discord. Obviously, the transfer window is opening up. Manchester United Discord, UtdActive. And, there's a lot of good people in there that talk a lot of sense. Sometimes not, but they know they are. I'm just joking. But that's where we are. And obviously, Discord is not as toxic as Twitter. So you can come in there and have a chat with us. And sometimes we do some Discord shows as well. So I appreciate you guys today. Make sure you like and subscribe on the video. And let me know in the comments below who you want in this window realistically, and how you feel about the new structure and some drastic changes happening. And hopefully Manchester United beat Crystal Palace at the weekend. Although, we'll have to see what happens with that one. But I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next podcast. That will probably be this weekend. Take care now.